Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Confidently Wrong. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning, Savon.
Hey, yo, what's up?
We got NBA playoffs starting today. I'm very excited. The best time of the year.
It is.
The basketball totally changes. The rotations change. And everything just becomes a super slugfest and a chess match. And I'm here for it. This is what we play the whole season for, just to watch these teams play at their elite level. I know that the Lakers are not going to go far, so I'm a little bit sad about that. We probably won't
burn that jersey, Wes.
Yeah, I'm going to wear the Lakers jersey because this is probably the last time I can wear it in season for a few months on the pod. RIP to Luka Doncic's hamstring and Austin Reeves' oblique muscle. But yeah, I still like watching playoff basketball. It's such high leverage, like high thinking basketball. It's high intensity. Love this time of year. Your two teams are in it with a shot. Obviously, the Pistons and the Knicks are looking okay. They're at the top half of their conference, so we'll see what they do.
Very
Brian,
nervous.
You're nervous.
So many knots
Even
in my
first round?
stomach.
Even the first round?
I have like nautical handbook of knots all up in my stomach.
Y'all should be able to
What's
beat
going
the
on
Atlanta
here?
Hawks.
I'm scared. I'm very scared. It's been an up and down season.
The ghost of
Who
Trae
knows
Young.
what could happen?
The
ghost
ghost of
of
Trae
Trae
Young
Young.
is just going to haunt Madison Square
Zoran
Garden.
Mondani actually called out Trae Young in a recent video about why playoff tickets were so expensive. He's like, blame Trae Young. And I was like, no, don't. That's bad juju. Don't
invoke
utter
his
his
name.
name.
Don't evoke his name. He's been banished to Washington, and now y'all got his spirit just getting powered up off of
That's
the
funny.
ATL Voodoo Strip Club curse.
The weather has suddenly gotten cold.
I sent this to you guys in the text, but shout out to Mamdani for doing a John Wilson episode basically about the scaffolding in New York and using it to make a point about how he's gonna make scaffolding better for New Yorkers. Funny thing to take on, but he's doing some cool things on social media.
It's a real problem.
I mean, I was in New York briefly. Is it because of all the scaffolders be blocking all the streets?
Yes.
Yeah, and sidewalks.
Okay,
And
I peeped that too. I was in there
That's
once or
quality
2 years
of
ago, and I was like, dang, they always working on something here.
Yeah, not really. They
Yeah,
just don't
but
take them
not
down.
really. Yeah.
No, there's always like there's always like a lot of unfinished projects here. I'm like, oh, they were working on something here.
There's a high school near me, a very famous high school. It's like a magnet school, right? They are notoriously
Is it the one that Miles Morales goes to?
Yeah. Kind of like modeled after that a little bit, right? They had notoriously had scaffolding through like multiple generations of students where like these students who have long since graduated had never seen the exterior of their own high school.
Yeah, who needs to see the building itself? Just
It's a damn shame.
the scaffolding
That's
is
pretty
fine.
bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's one of those like, oh, this is so bad that people have just gotten used to it, and it's like you take a step back and you're like, yo, this is absurd.
All right,
Speaking
well, that
of
was the New York
absurdities
culture.
in New York,
That was the New York culture beat of the pod. So
we
let's
need
keep
safer
going.
streets.
We're
speaking of
gonna
safer
talk
streets
about
in New York,
season 2 of Daredevil. It kicked off a couple of weeks ago, and we're excited to watch the return of Matt Murdock and the fallout from Foggy's death in the very beginning of season 1, and obviously the juxtaposition between Kingpin's rise to power and Matt Murdock's and Daredevil's fall from grace. So that's kind of what this season is a little bit about. Savon, can you remind us kind of what happened at the end of season 1, and then we can get into some spoilers for season 2, but just to let the people know what they should expect if they haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so the big stuff that happened in season 1 was that Daredevil's been in retirement. He's coming out of retirement now. The gang of Foggy and Karen get back together, and it results in Foggy's death. And the main storyline of season 1 is really Fisk deciding that he wants to run for mayor. And at this point, he's made a recovery from the previous show. He got shot in the face and bounced back. Dang, I wish he would have died. But alas, Kingpin's back. He's in the city. He's running for mayor. And his storyline is revolving around fighting back against vigilantes, but from a position of power. And so most of the show involves him expanding his powers as mayor, taking advantage of like his resources and his criminal links to battle vigilantes and those who operate outside the law, including Daredevil, but also with a much other bigger, colorful cast of characters. Some we met last season in brief moments, like the late White Tiger, and others who we'll see later in this current season. But the season mostly ended with Fisk like consolidating his power, passing an anti-vigilantism act that basically put the city under martial law and under his control, and all his enemies, aka a lot of the main characters we know, have effectively been on the run from a corrupted police force and really, really corrupt judicial system. So season 1 ends with all of our main characters basically on the run up against Fisk, and that kind of opens up where we are in season 2.
Yeah, we've talked about, we were talking right before we started recording the pod about how real life sort of is just actually a much worse version of like the reality that these characters are living in New York. So if you imagine, Trump and ICE, a couple months ago, that's kind of what's happening here. He's just got his own personal task force that just runs around doing whatever he wants them to do, and basically doing it carte blanche, no responsibility or accountability for anything that they do that is against the law. Any murders they commit are just wiped away. So it's been a tough watch to watch this show just try and highlight the corruption and greed and violence that this can breed, and you're just like, this is just what happened already. We've seen this,
and then
it's
the
not
icing
even
on the cake,
as bad,
right?
Yeah,
and then the icing on the
not
cake,
original.
the CIA is involved too. Because you just need a villain that's just like, well, who are they? I'm like, what do you mean, who are they? The CIA. They're a bad guy. Like, what do they want? Like, the CIA. They probably have the least. They're probably one of the easier villains in the show to understand. I'm like, they just in it for the love of the game. Like, we running guns, moving dope, destroying people in our community. Oh, that's just CIA. That's just how we get down. We do. That's a Sunday.
That's a Sunday.
And I love how the CIA guy like taunts Kingpin, and he's like, what you're doing here in New York is kind of small potatoes. It's just like a sliver of what's going on, what we're doing in the rest of the world. And it's like, yeah, that's true. That's true. Because our version of Kingpin in this world is actually like taking care of the rest of the world right now. So yeah, kind of weird that Daredevil is a few steps behind what we're living.
Catch up.
So yeah, so season 2 kind of starts off with Daredevil on the run. He's had to go into hiding because there's kind of a manhunt for him, and then Bullseye, who is played by what's his name?
Poindexter.
Yeah,
I know the character's name.
His character's name is Poindexter. I forgot his name. Anyways,
Wilson
he's from part of
Bethel.
Dixie. Yeah. So he tried to kill Fisk last season at the very end. Murdoch takes a bullet for him. Very, very slow-mo, he's no jumps in front of the bullet and takes one in the shoulder for him. And we can see that his psychoses, his like whatever, his mental illness kind of takes over him sometimes. And so we're kind of getting to see how does sort of come together after this. I don't know. It's weird, right? Like Bullseye is sort of having a redemption arc, but also not at the same time. I don't think there's any redeeming him, even though we understand that he went through quite a bit of trauma as a kid. So what are we thinking so far? What were you hopeful for this show? Were you like excited? Sav, what was your thought process going in?
Yeah, so we talked about this with season 1 of Daredevil, where I kind of graded the show on like not a scale, but I just recognized I gave them grace for a lot of stuff because I just read about how they had to scrap half the show, rewrite half of it because they realized it wasn't what was popping, and then they just write, hey, let's go back to the drawing board. We'll keep these things right. And we talked in the last show about how I think we all enjoyed Daredevil Born Again season 1, but we recognize that there's definitely a lack of polish, not because of lack of care, but because they had to scrap the show and try to rewrite everything, and like
it wasn't super cohesive.
Yeah,
and
but we recognize
it took
that
away from the show. I mean, I enjoyed it less because of those issues.
Yeah, but I think we recognize that this was like an extenuating circumstances rather than just, the people behind the show don't know what the hell they're doing. There's a difference between y'all kind of suck at what you're doing versus actually y'all course corrected really well, and that's a good sign of things to come. So I was going in through that lens. And so going into season 2, immediately it's very clear that the quality of what made season 1 good is still there. But now they've gotten to just fully commit and recognize, this is what works. This is what worked in season 1. And now we can go all in on it rather than the stuff from, at first that was like, this is the leftover things that they had to keep. And it shows. The story, I'm enjoying the story a lot more. It feels a little bit less piecemeal together. I'm liking the pacing more. They feel like they're really, really set on the tone, and it works in terms of just the violence, the F-bombs, all of that. Not to say that the other show didn't have it, but that was something that worked, that they're keeping on moving. I don't know. I'm just really enjoying it. Actually, I'll point this out now. I'll just say this part early. What I'm enjoying most about this Daredevil season compared to the previous one and the old show is that they're doing a very good job of adapting Matt Murdock's power set and what he does in the comics to be grounded, because it's not so over the top that it's like, it's fantastical, but he's still doing shit. And a lot of the characters are doing stuff that you could never do in real life. Like Daredevil's just the level of skill fighting. Even we talked about his batons and the logistics behind the batons. It's one of those, they're cool, they make sense. Don't overthink it. If the show got too caught up in making everything hyper grounded, I think they would have moved away from that, which is something I think the original series didn't do. Like, the original series definitely didn't want to do as much as the Billy Club swinging around on shit part.
Yeah, definitely.
This newer one, they said, we don't know how to make this quite look good the way we want it to look. And they said, you know what, we're just going to take a step, we're just going to be safe, which is fine. This show is a way more bold about embracing kind of the more campy, over-the-top elements of what the characters do, but without sacrificing the tone and serious nature of it either, which I think can be very hard to do. It is hard as hell to have a character at a diner whistling Winn-Dixie, throwing scissors and forks at people and murdering them
and lobsters.
brutally. Yeah, and lobsters and shit. But you're sitting there, and I don't know about y'all, but I'm sitting there like, is it ridiculous that he's throwing all this? Like, kinda, but also like,
what diner has lobster?
I mean, I'm not
fresh lobster too. They have a lobster tank.
You know, Wes, that was not even remotely what I was talking about.
Is it a Chinese restaurant diner?
I was not talking about the lobster. I was talking about just the plausibility of someone just murdering folks with these household objects so easily. But the show also, like, they don't try to be ashamed of that. And so they do it in a way that just, like, to me, just sells me on it. So is it ridiculous this man threw a knife across the room and killed some officer hitting him with it? Yeah, but, like, the direction and the filming and how they build up the characters makes you feel the stakes, and it doesn't feel as ridiculous as you think it would be from the outside looking in. Because I'm sitting there like, even when he's at the diner looking around, I'm getting anxious because I'm like, I know when he start looking at random little household objects, it's about to get busy. But I think, but all I have to say, the show's done a good job of like building up these characters so that even if they do things that otherwise might feel a little cheesy or hard to ground yourself in my opinion, they've built the characters up enough to where it feels very real and grounded, and like you still respect, oh, they're getting busy. So even though Matt's doing some low-level Spider-Man shit, Daredevil's bouncing shit off the walls, hitting people in the eye, Kingpin has low-level superhuman strength for a 60-year-old man. It works for the show because they don't try to over-explain it and they just let it work. And it's one of those, like, they're not ashamed of it being a comic, but in a way that works for something that's actually really gritty, which normally you think it's for something that's a lot more silly, like a James Gunn Superman movie. But I think that's a really hard balance to strike, and I appreciated that.
I think we can get into some spoilers at this point, some light spoilers, let's say, before we go really into like the plot mechanics. But I think in general, I would say I've been much more impressed with the kind of cohesiveness of the story and like the action kind of propelling to the next thing and really feeling like the story is moving. I felt like in season 1, if I recall correctly, that it sometimes felt like, well, why are we off on the side tangent? Because of the story issues you talked about and the shooting issues they had the first time around, it ended up sort of feeling like, this just, why did we go on this thing? Like, what did it actually do for us? And I have not felt that way at all for this season. You know, like we've had some moments for characters to shine who actually haven't come back in a couple of episodes. Like we get the swordsman kind of is a little bit featured in some parts. We have this other storyline around the captain and the first mate of the ship that goes down in the harbor. The psychiatrist, I forget her name. Is it Jessica? Something like that. And then, you know, obviously Vanessa and Fisk are centered in a lot of parts of the show. Matt and Karen are centered in parts of the show. In episode 5, minor spoiler, we get to see some older characters come back, like we're getting flashbacks a little bit. Everything just feels like it fits together a lot more nicely. I'm not having to like sit there and be like, wow, this really, why did we just do that? You know, like there's none of that sort of feeling. It was just like, I got to the end of the episode and I was like, man, that was like really fun. I want to watch the next one now. You know, there's not of this like, oh, I'm kind of bored of this. Like, what are we doing? You know, there isn't that feeling. So I don't know, Brian, how are you feeling about this season so far? Overall direction, story, characters, whatever, action.
So I actually have kind of like a different opinion about what you just said, Wes. And like, I think you're right that this season compared to last season feels much more like one constant storyline that we're traveling through in the way that you expect from a lot of TV series these days. In season 1 of Born Again, right, because of the, you know, the whole creative showrunner change midway through or whatever, like they were specifically trying to do something that felt a little bit more episodic or have these small arcs. I think it ended up turning into like having these tiny arcs within a longer season. So, you know, every 2 to 3 episodes was kind of like a villain of the week situation or some other type of predicament. And I actually, you know, in some ways in season 2, because that's not there, I miss it a little bit, right? Because
Do
I
you?
think those things kind of gave the show some focus, and we're also a little bit fun, right? Like they rounded out a world that these characters inhabited, and you got to spend time with White Tiger a little bit. You got to think about Muse, the serial killer, a little bit more. In this season, we have one main story arc, basically, right? It's take it down Fisk, and somehow the gun running is going to become an important aspect of it, which is like the very first thing that happens in the first episode. But in this season, all those pieces are long and drawn out, and as you said, they have to, in order for that to maintain itself over the course of an entire season, they have to have all these little ancillary parts of it that we drop in and out of constantly, right? So you mentioned like the swordsman is like a little bit of part of it. The first mate and captain of the ship that sank in the first episode are kind of part of it. You have like all these people that work for the mayor, that's part of it, right? And so we're dropping into all these little things constantly, and to some degree I'm kind of like, where is Matt Murdock in all of this? Where is the other central aspect of this story that I could latch onto that keeps it focused and propelling forward, rather than like visiting like a big world where not all the pieces feel that interesting on their own. If you know what I mean. So like that's sort of like a little quibble that I have about this season. And not to say that like it's a bad season. I think like on the whole though, what we do get is a level of consistent quality that is coming through in every episode, right? Because they have now had the ability to like craft this thing. And so I do think like each episode is really solid. Like the cinematography on this show is way better than it needs to be. It's like you can tell they are being very creative and thoughtful about a lot of things. Like
so
sometimes
well
you
shot,
get,
bro.
a sideways shot of like the ATF or the task force like riding through the crosswalk. Like there was no reason for them to like go to those lengths, but it's just cool. It's really good. There's a fight scene in every episode, and I think all the fight scenes are really they're having a good time. They're knocking those out of the park. Bullseye versus Daredevil is awesome. The first fight between Daredevil and the task force, where Bullseye takes out the task force basically by the end of it, is pretty amazing. And then for me, the real standout one is Daredevil, leading in a whole like escapee situation at the detention center, and he's using the billy club like none other. That fight to me was like, it kind of reminded me of the Superman fight that James Gunn did with him and who's the tech guy, I forget, in the
Mr. Terrific?
Justice League. Yeah, him and Mr. Terrific, doing that big fight. Or was it, maybe it was just Mr. Terrific and somebody else.
Mr. Terrific protected Lois.
Yes, yeah.
I went at like the barracks
it
camp.
kind of reminded
with
me
the
of that
ball
fight.
flying all over the place.
Yeah, right.
That was awesome.
And we're really zoomed in.
I'm terrific.
To Daredevil, and the camera's whipping around, and the billy clubs are whipping around everywhere. Like that was phenomenal. That was almost on par to, or maybe like some might argue, surpasses the hallway fight scene from way back.
I think the
Daredevil
stakes of
Netflix,
this one,
right?
I think the stakes of this one were really good because, sorry, sidebar, Brian, if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Sidebar. I love when a show can do good fight choreography where the stakes aren't just who wins the fight. There's other conditions at play. So it's not just, win, beat him, or die. For Matt, it's fight, win, save the hostages, keep them alive, guide them out. Like in a video game, it'd be an annoying ass escort mission. But we know Matt can beat these dudes' asses. But him having to do that while trying to protect all these people, get them out, lead them to safety. In the middle of the fighting, he's using his, just as me adding on, Brian, to your just the choreography. He's constantly using his super hearing in the fight to just update himself on who's coming from where. He hears a guy say, go in hot, go in hot. So now Matt immediately, the flip switches of like, they're going to try and murder these people. Get down, make the distraction. I noticed after that, his fighting got way more brutal when he saw, y'all willing to shoot these people? He kind of took the gloves off more because one dude got pierced by like a iron rod. And I was like, like Matt clearly was, in my opinion, was pissed off that they're even going to try and kill these people, and he stepped up to brutality another level with the arm breaks. And to me, Brian, that surpassed the hallway fight, if not only because he's saving and protecting all these people unexpectedly. And to me, the stakes was like, oh God, please don't let one of these people get shot. Oh my God, Daredevil, how are you gonna protect these people? And he's just getting busy. And I was just, those are really good, like, little things to make fights become more than just guys beating each other up. There's stakes of like, don't just win, protect or escape and all that. And it's a way that they've kept the fights fresh. Also, Brian,
and
then
then
he
he
I
gives
think that's
Swordsman
a good
a piece of rebar. He's like, fight it out. Help me with this.
and
he's like,
Swordman,
shoot.
and Swordman
Rebar.
starts going to work, and they even gave him a really cool moment of like, oh, let's look at this little cool bit character who actually was like, oh, he's kind of actually really dope and badass in terms of how they used them throughout the trial. But Brian, again, doubling down, really just like glazing all your points because you're making good points.
That's right. Let it be known. Let the record show.
That aspect ratio shift when he was on the boat, when he hears the little thing ticking and they're sinking the boat, and then he has this whole bullet time moment where he hears the watch, and it's just, there's so many dope moments of them really, and the show's always done it, but man, they really stay on top of just, yeah, his power is fighting, but the super hearing is really what lets him do some really busted shit. And even using him as like the lie detector for the guy they captured. And I'm liking that Daredevil continues to take his power set, and the show is really using fun, creative ways to use it. And that never gets old. Because again, if they're not creative, the fights start to become samey and him just swinging and fighting and beating up. But they keep each fight interesting of something's happening. There's some other thing at play. And Matt's got to stay on his toes. And they just, like, this show has just been very well, you can tell that the creatives behind it are really like in their bag, saying, hey man, what's the coolest way we can do this shit? And yeah, the people behind this shit, there's a lot of polish on this show, to be honest. The last thing I'll say, maybe unpopular opinion, I like quote unquote filler episodes. I like an episode to let things breathe, let us see more of the world, let us see the characters when it's not just a high stakes, sweaty plot, especially when it's a really, really intense plot. Like, this shit is really downer and depressing. It doesn't hurt to have a few just like, here's a sidebar story that doesn't advance the plot, but it advances the character. We talked about this with Invincible, right? Like, Invincible going to hell might have been a filler episode, but it was character development, and some people can appreciate that. Like, I like the St. Patrick's Day bank episode of Daredevil last season, because to me, it felt like a nice pace shift of like, okay, let's step away from all the vigilante shit. Here's just Matt doing a day-to-day, and he gets caught up in this thing. And like, I enjoy those little slice-of-life, self-contained episodes. I know we have mixed feelings. Yeah, I know we have mixed feelings about that. I know we have mixed feelings about how that goes from show to show, but with a show as intense as this one, the best moments have always been when Karen, Foggy, and Matt are just at a bar drinking and just being people. And even in Daredevil Born Again, some of the really good moments aren't the fighting, it's the characters just talking and interacting. But I would love to see that in like a less high stakes environment, where right now I feel like everyone's a bad sentence away from getting killed because everything's so intense. I want a little bit of just like, I don't know, what's Matt do on his day off between all this Fisk shit?
Yeah, I think season 2 could benefit from some more character moments, right? Like, I actually do think Matt is kind of oddly missing. Like, the Daredevil aspect of it and all the things that Daredevil can do have been really well thought out and crafted, and like they're constantly showing us new cool stuff that Daredevil is capable of. But I've missed a little bit of like what's going on with Matt Murdock here. Like, season 1 was very clear, right? You know, he had put away the suit. He's trying to like bury Daredevil, but it keeps seeping out. In this, now he's like full tilt Daredevil. Matt Murdock is not out in the world as a lawyer, but we haven't really been led into his character as much. You know, he's just like too busy making out with Karen, and that's kind of all we see of it. And we could use some more of those moments. And then also you mentioned Foggy, like that is also something I have like really noticed this season, which I didn't think was true in the first season, is that there hasn't been a chaser for all the seriousness of the show, right? Like, the tone stays really high and dire like the whole time, and man, I would love some comic relief.
Cherry is like the funniest guy.
Give me a chaser, like somebody like lighten this up a little bit. I guess like we sort of get that with Matthew Lillard, the CIA guy. We sort of get that with Bullseye having a milkshake, but man,
they're both more sinister.
I feel like we could use it.
No, those are clearly meant to be the chillness is meant to let you know. You know both of those characters.
They're
You know
just
they're being
psychotic.
chill, but there's a
Yeah.
sinister beneath that still makes their scenes anxious. When Matthew Lillard's there, it's like, okay, we know this guy's CIA and has all this shit, but he's joking, so you know he's scary because Kingpin respects him. We know with Bullseye, you know this dude's effing nuts. So even if he's being polite and chill and not killing animals this time, you waiting
I'm
for
like,
the moment. That's why when he's looking at the dog,
He's gonna kill someone with that cherry.
He's gonna finally go. The funniest character we had was the police officer Cherry, who's got his, his slick remarks, and he got whooped by the police and had a heart attack in like episode 1.
that was very anxiety inducing.
Yeah, I was like, dude,
no, not Cherry.
I'm like, come on, man. Like, he's the funniest dude in this show. We need somebody. Like, there's no one who's even like sarcastic. Like, this is the most humorless group of characters. No, I am with you, Brian. Like, it's funny because they kind of, I don't want to say overcorrected, but because I think it's just a shift of the story tone. But season 1 was clearly more about Matt, the story of Matt.
Yeah.
And his life, and now we've gotten a full inverse. And so from a bigger storytelling perspective, it makes sense that we get Matt heavy season 1, Daredevil heavy season 2. And I'm fine with that in like a big picture narrative. But regardless of how they're balancing Matt and Daredevil and all that, a little bit of levity wouldn't hurt.
I agree about the levity. I think one of
It's
the
just intense.
Yeah,
it really is.
But
even
I like
in real life,
I
it's like
like
a little
that.
bit of like, okay, Trump's awful, but at least what he said was like, okay, that's scary, a little bit funny.
But that was absurd.
like, I'm sorry,
Trump as Jesus, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, like him saying "Praise be to Allah" at the end of it. I'm like, oh, that's awful. Do something about him. Get him out of office. I smirked a little bit. I was just like, oh, at least I was just like, wait, what? It wasn't, but I don't know. This is just.
I like the intensity. I like that it's like for a short season, right, of 8 episodes or whatever it is, that like it's full bore. Like we're on a collision course for Kingpin just spiraling out and lashing out and doing whatever he's gonna do, and that the building up of this like impending doom, right, or in this pending clash that is bound to come. I like that, and I think we're getting more of the development around Kingpin's like ways of working, his sort of behind the scenes, the way that he's thinking through these things, his working with Vanessa a little bit. We're getting all of that. So like we're really centering Fisk in the season, I think, which is why we're not getting as much of Matt. I know that like last year they did a lot of like trying to juxtapose the two of them, and they're sort of trying to get to be the other side, right? Like Fisk's nature of being just a complete like power maniac, trying to put on a good face and be someone who takes care of the city, and
Right.
Matt's also kind of like psychotic, violent nature, trying to put on and repress that side of himself to be, a more civilian type of person. I think they've done less of that this year, which is I think been okay, because it's gonna lead to them letting out their, let the devil out. This is coming, right? Like for both of them.
No, absolutely.
And when you get to episode 4 and 5, or like the end of episode 4 and 5, like more stuff happens that I think is probably going to be a catalyst for the second half of the season. So, I mean, I think some of that, I think the intensity is only going to ramp up from here. But I did miss, you're right, that like, I didn't realize that I was missing some of that humor. So I think
just
that's
levity.
very insightful.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
some
just the
moments
levity,
of
right?
levity. There's
Yeah,
a few
they
moments.
could have brought more of that in. I think just the characters they right now have on the roster just don't lend themselves to that as much. Besides maybe the swordsman, he could have been like some of that.
Yeah, but he's so busy getting screwed up about the cops that he has
Exactly.
no room for humor. The whole time
Yeah.
he's just like,
His situation is just bleak.
yeah, the whole time he's just like a farce. And he's just like, yeah, this is bullshit. Hey, we
Yeah.
tried. We knew what was. The funniest thing he says is that I've been in the cell for 6 months. I need to get off these clothes and burn them. I'm too old for this shit. And that's not even a joke. That's just a statement.
It's just
of
real.
facts. I'm like, that man did not tell a single lie. When he said I'm too old for this shit, I was like, you're right. I got locked up for 6 months and I'm in my 50s, 60s. I'm like, you know what, man? I ain't got time for this shit. I'm gonna go take my money. He said, look, here's a debit card and go crazy.
You got an assistant now? Who's buying you clothes right now?
Gave him the credit card. Hey man, go bankroll. I'll bankroll your operation, but I'm gone for call.
Do you guys think that the series in this season of episode 2, do you feel like they're pushing Fisk's character enough that you're like, I can see, like I'm enjoying seeing him on screen, or do you feel like it's more of the same to the point that you're not as interested in seeing him on screen? I find him still magnetic on screen and really enjoy watching him like just like have the rage just be like right underneath the entire time, and just be like, is he gonna like cherry, like what does he do to that cop where he just like burst his head open?
He broke his head. Yeah, a little low level super strength.
He pulled a mountain on him.
Yeah, is this gonna happen?
So he's just the mountain that rides.
That's what I'm waiting for every single moment of like, is he gonna just lose it right now? So I really enjoy seeing him on screen because you're you're never really sure, or I'm never really sure where he's gonna go and like when the steam is gonna blow off, you know, like where he punched the guy really hard in that first episode, and just kind of goes berserker. I don't know, Brian, what do you think? Has the show found that interest for you, or are you starting to tire of Kingpin's? Is he too one note for you?
I mean, Kingpin's always going to be interesting. You know, Vincent D'Onofrio is like incredible in this role.
He's so good.
And you're right, like that simmering
it's like they can't
tension,
keep getting away with it, you know, but like they do every episode for me.
That simmering tension is like, you know, that's just like, you know, classic storytelling right there. But you know, the more that we talk about the differences between season 1 and season 2, it did make me think like I don't really know what is going on with Kingpin either. Like I don't know what his character arc is, if there is one, other than him just like trying to, you know, gather more power, you know, enrich himself. Like I'm not sure that there's anything more than that so far in this first half of the season. What do you think, Savon?
I think that Vincent D'Onofrio does a lot of the heavy lifting for the Kingpin character because he's just such a good actor. His facial expressions, that little bit of just like clearly he's someone who's trying to. He has so many scenes where he's clearly like, oh, you can see he's putting on a mask, or he's clearly poorly hiding his anger. Like the acting and how the character's characterized and written is great. I just think we're in a space now where we've had Kingpin as a central villain for so long that just by virtue of him being around so long, there's just only so much left you can explore with him. We learned about his abusive childhood and why he has those rage triggers in the relationship with his mother, and him being possessive and how that evolved, and being insecure and how that evolved into his relationship with Vanessa, and how he had an inferiority complex kind of. So when people did slight him or disrespect him almost on some Penguin shit, that would cause him to flash out and have these bouts of violence. And like, we got a lot of that in the original Daredevil series, which is fine. I have no problem with that. It was great. Like, we loved him there. And we got even more when he was the villain of like the Echo show and the Hawkeye show, right? Like, we've gotten to see him in a lot of spaces, and he works for what that is. But I think there's just nothing left to really explore with him that's interesting that we haven't already learned about him. I think we've learned about as much as there is to learn about Kingpin. And that's not a knock on the show, but we've just had so much screen time with him that we've gotten to legitimately, like, Kingpin's probably gotten more screen time and like story time than maybe Matt has, just by virtue of being a crossover villain, right? Like, I named 3 different shows that he's like a central bad guy in. Like, not just, oh, I'm here. He's beefing, fighting with the protagonist. He's fighting Maya. He's fighting Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. He's fighting Matt. Like, so all that to say, I think we've learned all there is to really learn about him. I think this Daredevil series needs to probably end with like kind of like, okay, what's the period ending point of the Kingpin storyline? Because it can't just be Joker style. Like, we're getting into almost Joker territory of like the status quo never gets shaken up. Like, we've seen Kingpin get blackmailed. We've seen him go to jail. We've seen him in court. We've seen him corrupt his FBI detail and all that stuff. You know, like, we've seen him get shot in the face and bounce back and run for mayor and win. Like, then we've seen him take over the city. We've seen him use it. You see what I'm getting at, Brian? Like, Rush, you see what I'm saying? But like, my point is that I think we've more or less gotten a really complete Kingpin arc. And what I will say, and like, this is where I kind of want to spoil some of episode 4. I want to speak a little freely.
Go ahead, do it.
Vanessa dies at the end of episode 4. And they were kind of frankly hinting at it, building up to it, because we saw that Vanessa, her main motivation this season has been, she's traumatized by the Bullseye shit. She never did want to be in the public spotlight. She really does love Fisk and just wants to be with him and enjoy all they've built and have a life together. And we had that conversation where Fisk clearly is not about that and is about
not ready for that yet.
He wants to continue. So they were already building up that there's clearly a little bit of a divide between what their long-term goals are. We even had Vanessa talking with the governor, and the governor saying, yo, man, your husband is a monster, but I could work with you. And she even says, I can bring the best out of my husband. And it's like, I do think Vanessa's death does push forward Kingpin's character in a meaningful way. His whole thing, even since the Netflix show, was, I don't want to lose Vanessa. I can't lose Vanessa. It's like, okay, well, now you have lost Vanessa. And Brian, you can watch yourself to see, but it's like, it's kind of his fault on the slick in a couple different ways. Like, it's
a little bit his fault.
You can tell why he would blame himself, I guess is how I'd put it. That's going to be amazing Kingpin character development. But I think they need to have an endpoint for the character, because there's only so much you can do. And he's done it great. But like, we've had like 5-6 seasons of shows with him as like the main villain getting away scot-free. He got shot in the face and lived. I think we need to wrap up his storyline here, and he'll go down as one of the best villains Marvel's ever done. But you have to know how to end it before it starts to become, I'll see you next week, Daredevil. Which I don't think will happen. I think the Kingpin story has to end with him being dead or in jail because it's just how he is and that's how they build it up. But it's just a matter of when. But I can't pretend like I haven't been doing it. He can't keep getting away with this shit since the Hand when their ninjas were in Daredevil season 2, 3. I was like, all right, man, someone need to deal with this Kingpin shit. I'm sick of this dude.
That's interesting.
I think saved because there was such a long. People have jumped in front of bullets like twice for him. Like everybody and their grandma is just like jump. I'm like, yo, man, just do nothing. Sorry. I
don't know. I guess I just don't feel like I'm tired of him. Like I want to see where else they can take this character because he has been so good in like everything that like they haven't missed with him, and so I'm like I could see him in other things and just be excited to see what Vincent D'Onofrio can do to him and bring to that character. I do feel a little bit that way about Bullseye. I'm kind of like not that interested in Bullseye as a character. His sort of like back and forth nature and chaotic nature. I don't know. I kind of get it, right? Like I'm ready. There's no other villains we could bring in or no other like chaos agents besides this guy. Like he's just too conveniently like, oh, we hired him for this, and like, oh, he just happened to be like an orphan at the same place, and it's like too many parallels where it's like, I mean, like you're just like trying to shoehorn him in at this point. Like, can we just get a different person? Like, it's okay to have a different, like the spray painter kid who was also psychotic.
And this is why I've been like, for this season, I was so excited at the prospect of Jessica Jones coming into the storyline, and I'm actually really annoyed that she has not appeared yet.
Maybe she's just doing a
cameo? These first few episodes. It's like, come on.
There is the question of whether or not we want some new blood or not. Because I know we had mixed feelings about the new blood in season 1. We talked about how we weren't really a fan of people. Well, not me, but I know there was conversation in this chat about not being a fan of Matt's girlfriend and all that. So was that the new characters not being as good? Was that a result of the writing pacing issue? Like, we are getting into that damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like,
yeah, maybe for sure.
I mean, I think it's just like a shift in focus, right? And knowing like a character like Jessica Jones is not going to just be, well, presumably not a side piece, right? In the way that like Matt's new therapist girlfriend might be, right? Whereas like you're thinking like, okay, Jessica Jones is a protagonist level character. How does that change the equation of the overall story?
Like Punisher last season? Are you talking like Punisher last season? He's not a lead character, but he's a major enough character where even if he's in there a few episodes, he's like, is that a good analogy?
It really jumpstarts the character arc, like really puts things into focus. Something else that is different from, Kingpin versus Daredevil and they're just like
I'm enjoying
running the hamster wheel over and over. I mean, it is good. Like, don't get me wrong, it is entertaining, but
I agree. I think it does need to be.
They just need an ending point for Kingpin storyline. To be clear, Wes, I'm still enjoying Kingpin on screen. Yeah. I hate him every time he pops up, and that's an absolute testament to the writing and the acting. And like, yo, that's them cooking. I just don't want them to feel like, oh my god, we have such a good thing that we can't get rid of it. And it's like, no, Kingpin's amazing. Y'all have used him great across all these media. What is y'all ending point for him? Because this shit can't go on forever.
I mean,
and
I don't know.
Ends with him.
I'm not convinced they're going to do that.
But I would love for this to end with, okay, he's lost Vanessa, he's gonna crash out, go off the deep end. This is the perfect way to set up like the downfall of a very fun, long-running villain that we've had for, keep in mind, 10, 11 years now. It's not like we've had Kingpin for a hot little minute.
Just to make sure we're factually accurate when we release this, I have seen episode 5, and Vanessa is not dead in episode 5.
No, he's punching walls.
I don't want you to be on record as saying she dies in episode 4, and then somebody comes and says, "Well, actually,"
I think Savon just hates that you spoiled it for him.
No, it's
he did not give the green light for spoilers. I gave the green light that I was okay with it.
No, I'm not even mad that you told me that. I'm just mad that she's alive still. that was a pure. That reaction was not directed at you at all. That was 100% at, oh my god, she's still alive. Somebody shoot these people. Like there was a point where Karen was like, "Yo, Frank's very effective." Matt got offended because he was just like, Karen was like, "I'm not saying we just go out shooting these officers." It's just like.
But maybe somebody should, like that kind of thing.
I'm just saying, I don't approve of Bullseye tearing up that diner like that, but I would argue he's done more good for the city than Matt did, just whooping their ass. I'm like, look. Also, just again, one of the best line reads was really him just saying, "Don't worry, I'm one of the good guys." He said that with his whole chest. And that was such a chef's kiss line. Like, we talked about how his whole thing was abusing animals, right? And how they were clearly building up that he's not abusing animals in that long intro he had. Did y'all catch that?
Mm-mm.
in the old show, Bullseye's thing was that, he's a psychopath and he would like have a whole thing of being cruel to animals. That was like one of his really shitty traits. When we have his episode of him just being all well adjusted, they were trying to freak us out because he's petting the cat, being nice to it. He notices the lobster at the bar and leaves it alone. The only lobster he throws is a dead lobster. And even when he sees the guy with the dog, he doesn't do anything to it. Like, there's a dog, a lobster, and a cat all in those episodes that you're thinking, oh God, I'm scared for this cat. Oh God, I'm scared for this guy and his dog. Oh
I'm
God,
scared for the dog.
And even the lobster, it's a dead lobster that he throws, not the living one that was crawling around on the floor. But like, I guess I'm pointing it out just to say there's so many little moments of like, they were being very intentional and creative, and just even little moments like that of just, it's just a very well crafted show. Like, you can tell that they really put like an honest effort into this, because you don't have to do shit like that. And the scene would have still been fire if they didn't, but they did. And even for people who don't remember his animal cruelty shit, it's a nice little just little moments like that of like, if you catch it, it's great. If you don't, it's fine. But they're clearly putting their ankles in it, and that's always a good sign for any show that's like,
their ankles in it.
You never heard that term? Put your ankles in it?
No. What does that mean?
Does that mean like hold your ankles?
To put forth your best effort.
Okay. Put your ankles in it. I like that.
Put your ankles in it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just like it's just
you gotta bend the knees, put the ankles in it, or maybe it's like stomping with like your whole feet, like when you're trying to mash something down, like mashing the trash down.
You never heard the term?
Ankles deep.
You ever heard the term put your foot in it? You ever heard that?
No.
Into somebody's ass?
No, just like put your foot in it is just like a term for just like, man, I made this apple pie and I put my foot in it. Not literally, but like, you put max.
Add that to the list of Savonisms, man.
I love that.
Oh my God.
You always got something good.
Put your ankles in it, bro.
Put your ankles in it.
I've heard elbow grease, or put your back into it, right? Some people say that. So I like
that. Means something else.
I'm pretty sure the foot in the thing is like, I'm pretty sure that might be a black thing, but like,
nice. All right.
Point
we learn more every day. We love this.
But yeah, man, Daredevil, this show's fire, man.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm enjoying this one. I'm enjoying this one a lot more than I enjoyed season 1. I do think there's like small things that like, yeah, maybe you can nitpick it, but I don't feel the need to nitpick this show. I actually really enjoy how every episode is going. I think the structure of them and ending, like how they've all ended, they all end in a good place where it's like, oh yeah, I want to watch the next one now, but not so much where I'm like, you're just fucking with me. Like it's really, I feel like the show has done a good job of putting forth like a real episodic TV show. I feel like we lament a little bit the 8 episode seasons because you just don't get as much as you'd get from like when shows used to be 22 episodes a year. And then I saw on social media and they were like, yeah, the reason you don't get that anymore is because of the streaming situation. It's like streaming services want people to sign up. That's how they make money. Making more episodes of one season doesn't get more people to sign up, so you just get these short seasons because a new show is actually what gets people to sign up. And so whenever they can make a new show, that's what they do rather than like extending the same show for multiple seasons, which like makes sense.
That. Bring back filler.
Sucks.
I missed the Fire Island Players episodes. I want my characters to have an episode. I want the Dragon Ball Z filler episode where Goku and Piccolo learn how to drive. Because Chi-Chi said, Goku, you ain't got your license. You have a family. You need to know how to drive. But Chi-Chi, I can fly. You need your license. Piccolo, you're going with them. And it's them driving a car, and it's a shit show, and it's the funniest thing ever because it's them just being dudes having a blast, not blowing shit up, and it's marvelous.
That reminds me of like comic books where they have like the little side story at the very end where suddenly all the characters are drawn in cartoony big head mode.
Yeah, the little chibi, little silly thing at the end.
Doing something silly.
I'm here for
it. Let's get that. Let's
want the levity.
Kingpin playing basketball.
I want an episode where Matt can't find his uniform, or he got to get laundry. He's trying to get dry cleaning done for his suit, so he's running all over New York trying to discreetly get his shit washed, and then his suit gets shrunk, and then he got to go on a job, and something. I don't know. I'm being silly, but you know what I mean. I don't know, man.
I like 8 to 10 episode seasons because they can be really tight and tell one story, and I think it allows. It's like a quantity versus quality thing. I think a lot of times when you have these shorter episodes, the showrunners can just really like go all out on those 10 episodes, right? The writers can do their thing. When you got 22, of course, like not all of them are going to be good. In fact, quite a handful of them are not because they're doing it so quickly, right? They're basically trying to write one episode a week, maybe every 2 weeks, something like that. And you get, I think the quality is just going to drop. It just naturally has to, right? You're not getting to really like smooth it out, sharpen it, revise it again, get somebody else eyes on it, revise it again, right? You just don't have that luxury when you got 22 episodes. I mean, I don't necessarily want to go back to that idea, but I think it could be more. We could have more episodes per show, which would be nice. Give us 12, give us 13, something like that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, defending 8-episode seasons is wild behavior, Wes.
Yeah, I think a lot of them could be longer. No, yeah, I think a lot of them could be longer. But
I mean, we talk about all the time about how, oh man, the show has 8 episodes, so they have to hit these very specific. To me, it feels like the opposite problem. If you say more episodes means that the quality gets stretched out, to me, it's they have to pack everything in so quickly that it sometimes shows feel like it's a breakneck pace when it doesn't need to be. Like 8 episodes means, to your point, like 100%. We just talked about 8 episodes, like even with this Daredevil show, 8 episodes, there's no room to have like we talked about it with Invincible. Like, imagine if Invincible had 3 more episodes this season, Brian. 4 more episodes. The Hell episode would feel less like oh man, we only get so many episodes, so you don't want. Like, I think the problem is that, and Wes, some of this is just, I know you have your preference of you prefer more straightforward stories, but like, I don't think that's always, I don't know. I just trying to streamline into 8 episodes ends up being you're trying to cram too much in. And we always say, oh, there's no time. We didn't get to really see what's up. We know that episode 3 is going to be the second to last episode is going to be the person finally powers up. And then it's like, it starts to feel a bit formulaic because you have less room to work with. If the show calls for it, cool, but like standardizing it to me is just greedy corpos trying to figure out how they can do less and, make more money by giving us less.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like they're doing these shorter seasons because you want to get more subscribers, so you need new shows, and so you can't invest as much in every single show. You actually have to do more shows. I ain't worried about their business. I ain't worried about y'all business. Yeah. That's just y'all trying to make money. I'm talking about to make a good show. No, I'm not defending that. I'm saying I'm lamenting it that like we're in this position a little bit because of that, right? Like I think that's a valid criticism of like why we're in this place, and like can we get 12 episode seasons, right? I think that would be awesome for things. But
season 1 of Born Again was like 18 episodes, right?
Season 1 of Born Again? Or no, I was going to ask, the first season of Daredevil on Netflix. Wait, Born Again was not 18 episodes.
Born Again season 1 was, let's see.
He's going to be so wrong on this one.
I thought it was less than 10.
It was definitely more than 8.
Really?
Right?
Oh,
but I don't necessarily want to have 22 episodes of Daredevil. That's what I'm saying, like in one season.
I just think it's you do what it calls for.
Exactly. Yes. I'm for that.
They had planned it to be an 18 episode first season and they split it up. So season 1 was 9 episodes, and then season 2 is 8.
Okay.
So here's the real question.
Planned it to be 18.
Yeah. So here's the real question I got for y'all.
18 would have been awesome.
How did y'all feel about the length of the Daredevil Netflix TV shows, which were before we started going into 8 episode model? Those actually were closer to
were like 15, right?
15,
or something like that.
In the teens, at least closer to maybe 20. But like that's maybe more for what I'm talking about of like episode
Look it up,
length.
Brian. I think, I like that.
And for certain, there was definitely, to be clear, I remember even back then people talked about, some episodes felt like filler
13.
and some whatever, but like,
oh, okay, not that many.
But still, I mean, 13 is almost, that's a lot more than 8.
Yeah.
That's a lot more TV.
That's
no, I
more
like
than
that.
50% more.
Bring back 12 to 15 episode seasons. That's what I'm in favor of. Yeah. Whatever you think you need between 12 and 15, pick one of those.
Yeah. Or the verdict is just, I don't know.
Right,
just don't have it No, have the length aside for what makes sense for the story. If it's a long story, make it a long show. I know obviously the business part gets in the way of that, but like, I'm just mad when they just like, hey man, you got 8 episodes, figure out the rest from there. I'm like, well, damn, bitch.
We've had some 6 episode shows in the past. Like, what the hell? What are we doing?
But that's a mini. Right. Yeah, but that's like a mini series. I'm fine with that. Don't give me a full on series and be like, all right, 5 episodes. See y'all next season. Bitch, what?
All right, let's keep it moving. I think we've said our piece. Streaming, you guys have fucked it up for us, and now you're charging us more every single month. Something
filler, baby.
Price raises. Bring back filler. I do not support this idea. Bring back filler.
Filler. Put some cheese on that burger.
Anything else you want to add about this show? Are there any characters that you've been enjoying besides the main ones we've talked about?
I love the British guy. Who's this British guy?
Buck?
Buck is crazy, ominous, and like really skilled. I have no idea what his backstory is.
Me neither, bro. I'm like, what is your angle,
but
bro?
He's so cool. Like any scene with him, I think it is a standout scene for the most part. Him having that conversation with
mysterious.
The deputy mayor was cool. Like eating the hot dog, like him taking out the 2 goons of the CIA guy.
They needed to
was
do that.
Crazy.
Double tap.
Him having the conversation with a therapist. Oh yeah, the fake hands up, right? Which was a distraction. Him having that conversation with a therapist and like talking about the king's court and what everybody's role is. Is just like really interesting and fun. But like, what a character! Who is this guy? Like, I'm looking forward to when he faces off with Daredevil. I think that will be really great, and be like the kind of new juice that we want to see. Right? We've seen
He gets
Daredevil
a little bit of
Kingpin.
attention.
We've seen Daredevil Bullseye. Let's see Daredevil Buck. I don't even know who Buck is.
Some dude,
But he's
badass
given
dude.
100.
We find out a tiny bit about him in episode 5. So
Cool.
He gets a little more screen time.
Yeah, I mean, we know he's a private badass. So I'm just like, what's your angle? Where do you fit in this? Like, Fisk just put you on payroll and you're just a badass gangster dude who's just like, all right,
Yeah,
man,
he's
I
just
got
down
you.
for it. Like,
He's just like in it for the bread. I'm like, okay, I mean, cool. Like, I guess that's like, if anything, he's the most honest character in the show. Like, I don't believe in none of this. I'm just here for the check. I'm like, you know what, man? I don't know, but do you?
All right.
That was something else with the show. That was.
I feel like Karen's gotten sidelined again.
yeah, Karen is definitely
Can't catch a
just
break.
like she's the kissable mannequin in this show. like
She
what
just
the
has
hell?
to stay at home base waiting for things to happen. I guess that's not true. She does
And
some
then
I
they
don't
of her
agree.
stuff.
have
I
her
don't
dressing
agree.
up as Kim Possible. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
she
agree.
does.
She's doing a lot of the media stuff in terms of sharing stuff and getting things to people and all, like getting the propaganda stuff out. She was the one who kidnapped that guy and straight up like kidnapped the man, and they whooped his ass and tortured him to get information out of him. Karen's the one who I think is building up to really going off the deep end in terms of being okay with outright murder. Like, you can clearly see her and Matt having a moral schism, which I'm actually really appreciating, of like, oh, Karen's kind of going
Good
the
phrase,
more Frank
a
Castle
moral
route.
schism.
Yeah, because Karen's going the
Like
more
that.
Frank Castle route. Like, I think Karen's
Yeah.
not going to have as much to do because she's just not out here fighting, but I think she's done a pretty solid job in terms of her character doing the espionage, sneaking around. She ended up like, she's had meaningful contact with a lot of, I feel like Karen's been doing a lot of shit. Like, she kidnapped the guy. She
Her
went to
screen time is
Kirsten's
so low.
office. She went to Kirsten's office when she was in disguise to help she does a lot of push plot forward stuff and getting information out, but she's not a fighter. So like, she's not going to be the star of the action scenes, but I think all the other scenes that aren't action but push the plot forward, I feel like Karen's doing a lot. But I
she
need her to
does
pop some
all
people.
those things that you mentioned without like feeling really present in those scenes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
agree.
No,
like-
I don't know if I agree. I like Karen.
There's like nothing stand out about any of it. It's just like there's that character again.
See, I'm enjoying
dropping
none of
off
her
Karen.
scenes-
something.
See, I'm-
None of her
Who
scenes have
knows?
tension. None of her scenes have tension or like stakes to them.
She's
right?
picking
Like,
up some books in the
It's
law
all safe.
office.
Yeah, she's going to meet with Kirsten, and
That's the crime.
again,
That's
safe,
the crime drama part of the show. Like, that's the drama
There's no
part.
tension.
I think there's tension. The tension is, hey man, what we're gonna do to not have Fisk F over these people, and will these documents and stuff actually help with fighting against the system? Like, that's the tension. Granted, they
I
lost.
think
The
they missed
other-
mark.
The other thing I want to call out is BB Urich's alternate BB report, right? Like the
The
Oh, yeah.
Kingpin parody.
Love
the
it.
Kingpin parody videos are actually like pretty interesting and cool. They're kind of like a knockoff of stuff they used to do in Mr. Robot. But it's just like another one of those
QAnon.
details that the show has like gone all in on. And you know it's a detail that they don't really need necessarily. Like, it doesn't have to seem as funny and interesting and kind of bonkers as it is, but they're the credit to the people that are making this show and like putting some effort into these things, and just like adding more value to the show in places that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
I wish that we didn't know who it was yet. I wish.
Yeah,
that
it was a weird reveal.
wish that was
like,
a little
so
bit of a
early.
later.
Y'all didn't, I thought we
Yeah.
knew it was her from the beginning.
I can't
No,
remember.
It was
I
like
feel
the
like
the
you-
second
thing
or
that
third
we knew
episode.
in season 1.
I was under the impression that we all knew that was the case in season 1 because they showed her taking off. I was like, okay, but we thought we knew this already. Like, I thought she was,
No, I
because the
didn't
whole
know
thing
it.
was that she'd been making, because the whole point I understood that she was been making those film things from the beginning because she was doing like a, false flag. Hey, I pretend I'm with y'all, but actually, and when she did the thing when she got the information off your boy's computer after the party, right? She hacked and got the information off
That was
that
this
she
season,
used
though.
to make it. Yeah, but I'm saying is that this whole time, I thought we all knew that she
I didn't know.
was doing that stuff because she was secretly investigating Fisk because that's who killed her uncle. As soon as
That
we learned her
part we
name,
knew.
as soon as we learned that she was a
Yeah,
Uric, it's
that
like,
we knew. But like that she was behind the Kingpin
I
mask.
thought we knew that because I don't know if I just pieced
I'm
that
not
together.
sure.
I thought in season 1 I was like, oh yeah, that's
Maybe you're a
clearly
better
your girl.
detective than we are.
But I thought
No,
maybe there was a line.
I mean, I
something.
figured it was her, but like the reveal of it felt a little.
Oh,
off.
I didn't know for sure.
To me, the
I
reveal
didn't know
felt
at all.
like to me, it was like, why are they telling? To me, it was like, oh, I thought we knew this already. I was
You're like,
what?
this is so obvious. And for me, I was like, what?
I was genuinely like, why did I thought we knew this was her? Is this just a kid?
I'm the little kid
in the back of my head. I was like, is this just confirming people who weren't sure? Like, is this just to definitely punch it home people who weren't paying attention or something? I was just like, cause I'm like, we know this. What do we even need this for?
I don't know. I did not know. Well, also, maybe I missed it. I might have missed it in that first episode, like where she was on his computer and what he was looking at. I don't think I caught like what she was looking at on the computer.
I thought they had lines of her all throughout the even previous season of like, oh, cool, she's clearly out to get revenge, and this is how she's trying to put out hit pieces on Kingpin, because the info was shit that like only she has privy to it, because that's why she's messing with old boy so that she can use her
I was
inside.
Just sitting there being like, I wonder how this jokester knows about these things.
Well, you know what? The writers clearly realized we need to emphasize that point, so shout out to them, because everybody doesn't see the same shit. So,
but I wish they would have not told us yet. I think they should tell us later. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much of a catalyst it is. Maybe it was just a catalyst for like Fisk being annoyed about leaks, and if that's just the case, then you tell us that earlier. But I feel like it could like spur other things, right? Like people could start to get disenfranchised with or disillusioned with Fisk through these like things, right? And it could build pressure on Fisk to do something, that he's doesn't want to do or something like that, right? You can use that as leverage later.
Well, the conflict is that she's using her friend to get that inside information, which he called her out on, and like now it's leading to a tension between them. And then if shit pops off with Kingpin, who's gonna get hurt? But like, that is a tension. It's a matter of like, all right, is this gonna blow up in BB's face? Like Karen even told her, "Hey, don't die doing this work." Will she die? I hope not, but I guess we got 3 more episodes to see.
She might.
Yeah, if they kill another Yurick,
and then she'll come back the next episode.
Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah,
I think we said we want to see.
Yeah,
I'm excited for the second. I'm excited for the second half of the season. We'll see where they take it.
Cage, damn it! Bring back.
Give us the Defenders.
Are they supposed to show up in the show?
No,
Jessica Jones at least.
Just Jessica Jones. Okay.
But it's like
Well,
Luke
we'll
Cage
see what
is
she
in
does.
New York. He out here.
I don't know. Maybe you're right though. With like only 4 or 5 episodes to go, 3 or 4 episodes to go.
It might just be a cameo.
Maybe she's just making a cameo.
Yeah.
It's kind of too late to bring her in as a major character.
We don't know that. Maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. All right, friends. Well, that'll do it for us. Your homework is to watch Maul, Shadowlord, The Boys. What else is coming out? What else is out?
Invincible.
Finish Invincible. There's lots of TV on right now. Savon was complaining earlier that we're just in such a plethora.
I didn't complain.
Of
I just
great
said
show,
a lot of shit. I
TV.
just said there's a lot of good TV out.
Plus, we got to watch, the playoffs.
What about Company Retreat?
Company
Retreat.
What's Company Retreat? Is that a show or is that like a thing?
It's a show.
I'm like,
you could go on one.
I'm like, I'm definitely not going on a company retreat, so I don't know why we're talking about it. It's like, is this a show? What is this shit? Duly noted.
You're retreating from the company.
We're 4 or 5 weeks away from Mandalorian and Grogu, which should be an event. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but it should be an event. All right, friends, we're out of here. See you later. Bye. Go Lakers.
Yeah, they're gonna go home.